What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea. We are at episode 31. That was a good scarecrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Crane.
Anytime.
We're at episode 31. Welcome to the show and joining us tonight on our usual spot on Wednesdays. Thanks for joining us, whether it's on the Facebook stream, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever it is. We always appreciate the support. And if you're checking us out on the podcast-only version, welcome aboard, too, for the ride. We got a pretty good one tonight. We got a wild, psychedelic set of shows.
Oh, we do.
Between Titans and What If, we got some wild shit going on. So
we do.
We can't wait to get to it, though. So, Jason, what's going on with me? He's with me as always because I just goofed up my own thing. But go for
That's all right. No, I'm always here, baby. Always here, ready to scarecrow dance or give a little Zemo pump action or whatever you need, man. That's what I'm here for.
We're doing a lot of dancing, I've noticed, to open up our shows for I think since Zemo is kind of when I noticed it started becoming like a thing for us.
Zemo inspired us, man. We actually could say that we've been inspired by the character Baron Zemo and not in a scary Nazi way.
Yeah, this is true. We got a very unscary Zemo.
Unscary Zemo, right? Because in the comic, he's a Nazi, right? I'm not misremembering that?
Oh, no, he's absolutely a Nazi.
Yeah, okay. Because he's not in the MCU, which I'm happy about. No. That wouldn't make sense, but I just wanted to make sure I remembered.
No, absolutely. Alex, by the way, that's a pretty smart move, though. Not me watching What If right now, last minute before the show starts. Alex, I appreciate that. You can come back, dude, when you get a chance. You will probably line up to about the time we're done with CWverse and jump into What If. So go knock out that episode, and we'll see you soon, man.
That's true. You won't miss much on Baywatch Nights. You've seen the chicken episode. You've seen it all.
Yes, he was fortunate enough to check that one out.
He was, yeah.
So, Jason, you want to kick it off? Let's hit the ground running. Let's unhassle the Hoff.
Let's unhassle the Hoff. So, shake up, guys. There's a new there are new cast members.
Oh my god.
This is episode 11, The Takeover, and they've gotten rid of the psychic woman that I've told you about, which I saw that coming. She's only been on 3 episodes. And they have replaced her with some hot guy who isn't in this episode, but he looks to be a photographer, so I guess I'll see him in the future. And the new owner of the club, which Lou Rawls owns, and Lou Rawls still in the credits, not in this episode. Okay. Love how he's in the credits, but not in every episode. But whatever. So Donna DeErico is now in this show. I don't know if you know who she is. Donna DeErico is literally like the poor man's Pam Anderson in the sense that she was a very attractive blonde woman in the 90s, very what I like to call LA attractive, whereas Pam Anderson was on Baywatch. Apparently Donna DeErico was on Baywatch Nights, whereas Pam Anderson was married to what's-his-face from Motley Crue. Donna DeErico is married to Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue.
Oh, wow.
So the parallels are there. But she is now the new owner of the building. They must have decided to revamp the show in this episode because there were certain things that just weren't working, I guess. I don't know. It was all working for me. But now the place, the club that it used to take place in, that they had their offices in used to be like this seedy, jazzy nightclub that Lou Rawls ran. And he still runs it, but now it looks like a Hooters. Like it looks like the interior of a Hooters, like it's all wooden, and there are women with belly shirts and buxomy, and they're serving, and it's weird.
But if you don't have the Hooters wings, then I'm sorry, you just don't have it.
That's true. Don't think they were paying for that Hooters sauce. You know what I mean? But this episode's nuts, though. This episode, they're hired to go find someone is targeting the managers of this company, and Mitch's friend from high school calls him in to see if there's a connection between these incidental deaths. And the first incidental death is hysterical. There's a guy hang gliding on the beach, and then it's obvious that someone messed with the hang glider, and it comes undone. And he's hanging onto the hang glider, and he's swirling around, and you think he's going to crash, and he manages to land safely, and then is annihilated by a truck.
Yes! That is not how I thought that was going to end.
No, me neither.
Are you sure this isn't like a what if episode of Baywatch Nights?
No, this is how this guy was killed. I don't know how they knew to have the truck there. Maybe it was just lucky.
Wow.
But there were two boat bombs and a car bomb in this. And the last boat bomb, the killer, it doesn't even matter who the killer is. But the last boat bomb, like she's someone who knew Mitch, like almost slept with him. She pretended to be a possible victim herself. And then at the end, she just gives this look of resignation when she's been thwarted. And Mitch is like, jump from the boat! And she's the one to place the bomb. And she just looks at the camera and goes, and then it explodes. Yeah, it was wild. It was a wild ride, my friends. I'm enjoying this show. I am enjoying this show, and I want to see what Donna D'Errico and the new hot cameraman add to it.
Yeah, the name's ringing a bell. I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about, but yeah, I think that's a good way to describe her. She was like a fake Pam Anderson, and that's weird that she dated Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue while she was dating Tommy Lee.
Married to Nikki Sixx while Pam Anderson was married to, like, not just dating, they were married to Motley Crue members. Like, that's why there are parallels here. There are parallels to be drawn.
Yeah, no, that's.
I'm curious if there's a multiverse where Donna D'Errico has Pam Anderson's career and vice versa.
What if has led us to believe anything, or Loki, if we've learned anything, then that's absolutely a thing.
I think so. I'm a big believer in parallel universes.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, it's pretty wild to go down that road and think of any little thing that we've done wrong. It's like one day if I didn't go to the pizzeria and I had like Chinese food for lunch, what happened the rest of the day? Like, did my entire life change or whatever? Or blah, blah, blah.
Right. Well, look at. Isn't it Rick who has the story that he was like late going to work on 9/11 because he was hungover?
Yep.
Right. So what if Rick didn't go out drinking the night before? The very different world we live in. A world I don't want to live in.
No, not at all. Not at all. Hawkeye loses his number one fan, and so does Daredevil. He's tied for both. Regarding in comic book stuff, yeah, but that's a weird thing, man. That's a weird thing. All right, well let's jump into CW, man. Let's hit the ground running and keep it moving here. We got DC's Legends of Tomorrow, season 6, episode 14. The almost finale, since the finale is this upcoming Sunday.
All right,
Jason, take it away. What do you got for us? Did you lose your notes?
All right. So just to let you know, Eddie, either I am glitching or you are.
Oh, okay. I see us both good.
So just letting you know. But I think we're back. So, all right. So, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, right, you're frozen for me, so I don't know if I'm frozen for you.
No. We're both good from my perspective.
Okay, you can hear me. Good. Okay, because all right. So,
damn you, StreamYard. Oh, and Jason is gone. So, for those of you who are not in New York, we're actually in the middle of a storm right now that's going on here. So, we were kind of concerned about internet problems tonight. So, this is apparently one of them. Yeah, we're having one of those. Oh, here we go. We're back. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're good now. Am I good?
We're having technical difficult because of the rain, guys.
Yeah, that's what I was just explaining. I'm giving weather updates.
All right. You know what? I actually do this because my wife. Are we good now? I'm going to move to the other room.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to just move to the other room where my internet's better, and I will be right back.
Okay. We're going to take the trip with Jason to
take the trip
around the apartment now?
Hey,
let's go.
Take her around the apartment. I'm alone. My wife is in LA with the baby. All right. All right. So, as a matter of fact, you can see my really newly renovated action figures. Took the time to set up my action figures, one of which is a sort of send up to our show where I have Mojo and Mephisto with Wanda and Vision, which I sent you guys before.
Yeah, no, that was pretty great. That was pretty great.
That is my homage to our show. All right. Apology, I think I am back now. All right, so Legends. So we pick up where we left off last week, where Bishop has convinced Constantine to free him, promising him he's going to get him to the Fountain of Imperium. Constantine gets everyone off the ship but Astra and Spooner, and they steal Gideon and they go to 1920s Texas. We find out that
Oh, wait. Jason, looks like we lost you again. Damn it, this storm is really screwing us up.
it really is. Can you see me?
Yeah, no, now, yeah, you're a little bit off with the audio and stuff, but it's fine. We can hear you now.
All right. Yeah, sorry. It's really messing up my internet tonight. I really apologize, guys. Let me I'm going to try to just disconnect real quick and come back. But think about this. What if
there wasn't a storm tonight? We were able to get this show rolling here. All right. Well, I mean, yeah, DC's Legends of Tomorrow this week was a pretty solid episode. I mean, at least in my opinion. We'll get Jason's half when he's able to sign back on. Yeah, but there was a lot of furthering of Constantine's storyline. He's working with Bishop. He's working with Bishop over there, and they're trying to get him to the Fountain of Emporium, which has been Constantine's arc, throughout the season. And yeah, I mean, essentially the Legends are forced to go back in time to try to stop Constantine from doing something pretty reckless and pretty crazy. So, there is. Yeah, we are all over the place with this thing. We really apologize for the technical difficulties. It's been crazy.
I blame the Joker. Damn it!
I was talking about Legends because I was like, listen, I don't know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, sorry guys. I think I fixed it. I apologize. Okay. So where'd you leave off?
I was explaining how Constantine was working with Bishop, and they would get him to the Fountain of Emporium. That the Legends had to go back in time to essentially stop this thing. And then that's pretty much why I left off with it. You can pick up from there.
Cool. So we find out. So the Legends have to get to Bishop, and they don't have Gideon. So they decide that the only way they can get them is to get Kayla to come and get them, which, if you don't remember, is the alien that impregnated Mick. And the way that, and I love this is one of the funniest gags in the episode. The way that Gary gets Kayla to come is he takes pictures of Mick with fake eggs and puts it on like Facebook, right? Galactapost, it's called. Yeah. Right? And she comes because she's jealous and she sees it, which I think that's hysterical. And she comes for the eggs, of course, because they're her children. And then in the 20s, we find out that Spooner is actually, I thought this was weird, but I mean, whatever, it's a weird show. But Spooner was actually a kid in the 1920s whose mother was murdered, and the Fountain of Imperium is an alien, and that is the alien that kidnapped her and took her to the future to keep her safe. If this were on any other show, I'd call bullshit.
Yeah, I was not sure how I felt about that whole reveal. I mean, was it really more out there than Gary being an alien when that was never hinted at any point at any time in the show either? Right.
And I think that's it. Like, this show can get away with it because it literally just goes, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the tone of the show. But if we were discussing this on something else, I'd be pissed because it kind of makes no sense.
Yeah. We also don't know much about Spooner, though. Like, her origin, we know she had a connection to aliens. She seems to have a quick trigger finger. She has an attitude. That's, pretty much all we know about her until now.
We don't really know much about her. So I think that's also part of it too. At least Gary, we had a relationship with. So when we found out Gary was an alien, it's like, okay, all right, I like Gary, I'm fine, but like I don't really know Spooner. Like Spooner and Astra, I feel that we're not really getting much from them. More from Astra, I think, this year. But those are the characters I think that are being underserved.
Yeah, I mean, if Astra, I think the only people who would like, I have some knowledge of Constantine from the show and from other mediums that I've seen with him, animated stuff and things like that. I know Astra is, which they reiterate on a show, that Astra is very much tied closely to Constantine, and he's the child that, pretty much he feels he lost to hell, and that's why, he's always kind of like down and about, and his thing was always to rescue Astra, and then in Legends he actually gets to do it.
Yes, yeah, which I think is super cool. Was she part of the show? She was part of the show, right? Or was that story arc part of Constantine's show? I saw it a long time ago.
Not that he is, just that he was upset about losing Astra and failing her mother.
Okay, but so you never meet her, but she's in the show.
No,
like she's mentioned in the show.
She's mentioned plenty. She's mentioned in the animated movie Constantine City of Demons. She's mentioned in Justice League Dark in the animated movie. She's always mentioned. She's always tied with Constantine.
I got to get on those cartoon movies. But anyway, so and then what we find out, Bishop has the best line in my opinion in the episode. The groove is all part of the process. Because he's like dancing while he's working, Constantine, because that better be a success dance. And he went, the groove is all part of the process. Like, I really like this villain. He's just so smooth and new age and evil, and I really like him. And then let's say, all right, yeah. So then reveal Bishop poisons John because his whole thing is to destroy the Fountain of Imperium, and he gets John to have the connection, and poisons him, killing both the Fountain of Imperium and Constantine, which this might be the end of Constantine because, as we know, he's coming back as a different character next season.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about that. If that's how Constantine is obviously, he's going to be in the finale. It's not like they're going to kill him off the one before the finale. And I don't think Constantine's going to get a happy send-off at all. I think they've set him up to go down a dark path, and knowing the character of Constantine, it's going to be a pretty fucked up situation of how he goes out, however that ultimately ends. But I don't think this is the final, for lack of a better term, nail in the coffin for Constantine, though.
Yeah, my theory is this, because his death triggered the death of the Fountain of Imperium. My theory is that he died but didn't. He does something, like he's going to be the reason, because I saw the previews for next week, and obviously now we find out the Fountain of Imperium was a shield stopping massive alien invasion, and with it gone, which is why Bishop wanted to destroy it, the world is now easy pickings for aliens, and our legends have to defend the planet. My theory is that Constantine is going to somehow resurrect the Imperium and save the day in the finale. That's my theory.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty solid theory there. I mean, I think that jives and lines up with what's going to happen. We know that there's going to be a wedding with, Ava and Sarah Lance, so they'll finally get married, and seems like weddings in the CW verse are always going to draw like insanity and wars and things like that, like Barry and Iris's wedding and all the other crap. So
they got attacked by alternate Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. Aliens or alternate world Nazis from Earth X. I'd
rather the aliens. The aliens. Aliens are more human than Nazis.
That's true. That is true.
So now here's my question for you, Ed. I saved this for last purposefully. Do you think that? So what happens with Mick Rory is Bishop puts a time bomb on his eggs, and just for shits and giggles, and they try to save the eggs, and Mick goes back for one and gets caught in the explosion. Now we know Mick's not coming back next year, right? He's done with the show. So do you think they're killing him, or I don't think they're killing him, but I think that this is directly going to be related why he leaves. But what do you think?
My guess is Mick is going to get a happy send-off like most characters that have left this show. Ray Palmer, who we're actually going to see in the beginning of season 8 of The Flash next year, which is really cool.
exciting.
Yeah, no, they're bringing back some of the oldies that have been gone for a while. I'm pretty excited for that. I think it's going to be called Armageddon. It's like a 5-part series that opens up season 8 of The Flash.
That's exciting because I love that character of Ray Palmer. I miss having him on Legends. He's a great character.
No, me too. Excited to see him. But I think, like Ray got a happy send off. Captain Cold got his happy send off and things like that. So my guess is Mick is probably going to end up with the alien, or he's going to go back with his daughter. That actually, I'm going to call this. He's going to decide to go back with his daughter, and that's how he's going to end up like being with that woman and doing that whole thing. And that's how I think he's going to send off. Maybe the whole alien egg thing got him feeling like a parent and of some way, and that's how he's going to be kind of like brought back to current time, and he'll live the life like that. Plus, I can just see Mick Rory's character starting off as a criminal and having a story arc where he kind of like gets to be a good dude and goes out a hero. I can see that.
Yeah, and I think that's earned. Like I think he's had the most growth of character since the beginning, right? Because in the beginning, he only joins the Legends because Captain Cold does, right?
Yeah, it's just because they decided, hey, we're going to take you guys, and that's it.
Yeah. So like now that he is like a one of the last remaining members, and so I hope they give him a nice send off.
No, I think so. I have a good feeling about that one. All right, cool.
Yeah, that's Legends.
All right, so let's keep it moving on. We'll get to Stargirl, episode 4 of season 2. An episode that sees some of the ISA broken out. Sportsmaster and his wife, whose name it always escapes me, but they're both locked up, and they have an opening scene where their daughter goes to visit them.
Yeah,
and I love it that Sportsmaster is upset that she can't watch the Sunday NFL ticket, and he's like, they're monsters. How are they not going to let you watch football? What the hell? I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, but their whole thing is they end up breaking themselves out of prison, and they just want to see their daughters like try out for the football team. Like that's essentially, and they genuinely that's what they wanted. And by the end of the episode, we find out that they weren't bullshitting because they end up going ahead, breaking out. They go to her tryout. They meet up with Pat. They have this whole conversation. They spend time in Pat's house with Pat's wife, and I can see like the connections between Pat and Sportsmaster and Pat's wife and Sportsmaster's wife. So they're like, oh, maybe we're not that so different after all, even though they're like super villains and nut jobs about like fitness and sports and all this other stuff. So I thought that was a whole interesting thing.
Sportsmaster has this great line where he's bonding with Pat, and he's like puts his arm around him. He's like, when you first moved here, I really felt that we were going to be close friends. What happened to that? And Pat's like, well, you did try to kill me, but relationships are weird.
Their whole dynamic, those two characters, is great. It's like he ran a gym and he wanted to get Pat into shape and all this other crap.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I thought that's pretty good. And then we find a lot about the Shade. So they're going ahead and tracking down the Shade, the new JSA. They're tracking him down, and Stargirl runs into him, and because they find out he's after the Black Diamond, which Lizard King's daughter has now, and Eclipso. We find out Eclipso is a part of that Black Diamond, and whoever has the Black Diamond gets Eclipso's powers. Essentially, and then we find out about his powers. It's like an illusion power, and it can turn places weird, people weird. It can make them see things that they're not really seeing, and that also does tie into Sportsmaster's daughter's tryout because she sees like a SWAT team going around her parents to take them in, and she runs off the field and like ends up beating the crap out of Stargirl because she thinks she's one of the SWAT team, and that whole thing. But and to close their story arc, though, at least for now, was they just say, listen, we just want to warn you not to make the same mistakes we messed up. They willfully go back to prison, which I thought I was waiting for some sort of evil master plot, but it never happened.
Yeah, and I like that. I really like that because what I really like about this show is that not everyone is 100% villain and not everyone is 100% hero. And I think that's the ethos of this show, right? Like the ISA in the first season, as we discussed, they had genuinely ideal motives for doing terrible things, right? They wanted to erase poverty and give us clean energy and erase bigotry, like and so what I liked about this episode was the fact that Sportsmaster and his wife, they break out because they are good parents. They're terrible people. Yeah. They're psychopaths, but they're good parents, right? Whereas the new Dr. Midnight, I forget her name, her parents are not psychopaths. They're very normal people, and they're terrible parents, right?
Yeah.
So, I really like what this show does with that. And the Shade actually surmised the ethos of the show perfectly in this episode when he's talking to Stargirl, and I'm not going to ruin it because I know you'll go into it, but he says to her,
"Go ahead, go with it."
So they're talking. He confronts her, and she's like, "I know you want Calypso and you want to take his power. And I'm going to stop you." And he's like, "I'm insulted that you think that I would want Calypso." He's like, "The one thing that Stripesy should teach you is there's a difference between bad and evil." And that's the ethos of this show. He goes, I'm bad. I've broken some laws. I've killed some people. I've never hurt anyone who didn't really deserve it unless I had to. Eclipso will hurt just to hurt because he is evil. And that, I think, is really the dividing factor of these villains. Like, no one in the ISA except for the doctor, I forget his name, the Dr. Dragon or whatever his name is. I think I'd make the argument Lizard King. Him and his daughter are the only two that I would make the argument are evil. The rest of the ISA were just kind of misguided. They were bad, but they weren't evil. And I really like that. And I think we're about to explore something because this ends with Stripesy and his wife talking about do we hide the truth from her? And I think where they're going is that sometimes the good guys aren't always good. And so, I want to talk about that because I was really excited about that on the show this week.
When we find out, though, that the Shade doesn't want to, he wants to take the Black Diamond and sink it at the bottom of the ocean and just get rid of it and essentially be done with Eclipso, and has this whole conversation with Stargirl. Stargirl's led to believe from Pat, who Pat tells her, listen, this dude killed the original Dr. Midnight. And she's led to believe that. And then we find out that there was a little bit, a whole different thing where, if I recall, wasn't it like Eclipso killed Dr. Midnight's son?
Daughter. Which we see in one of the first episodes, one of the first two episodes, that's the opening, where we see that the daughter is killed by what we now know as Eclipso. So she finds that out and brings it back to Pat and confronts him about it.
Yeah, so that's something they got to deal with too. Lizard King's daughter is recruiting an entirely new ISA. She's going to the Fiddler's son and trying to get him to you'll learn how to play, and because he doesn't really know how to play the damn thing, but she's confident in that. Then she's going ahead and she goes to Sportsmaster's daughter and wants to recruit her as well. So little by little, we see in the picture, because there's at one point where that painting gets revealed where Eclipso shows her what she wants, and it's a new ISA, and Pat's son Mike is in that picture repeatedly. They haven't alluded to exactly how that happens 100% yet, but it's there's going to be a pretty crazy twist at some point where we're going to find out that maybe this kid's got some evil in him or something like that, or he's going to at least be temporarily recruited, and Stargirl and the JSA are going to have some sort of a dilemma to deal with, because he's constantly trying to get into the JSA, and they're kind of just telling him, get lost, not to worry about it and stuff like that. That's why I think is going to push him in that direction. And, he had the weird thing with Thunderbolt and stuff, but he doesn't have Thunderbolt anymore. So I'm really interested to see where that one goes. And then at the end of the episode, we find out that Dr. Midnight is still alive in some weird shade world or something like that. They don't really explain it at the end, but there's shadows everywhere, and it's he's in the middle of some shadow storm or something like that, and that's how the episode ends.
Which is super exciting because he comes back. The way they reveal it is he comes back online, like the goggles come back online, and the new Dr. Midnight's like, "Oh, Chuck, you're back." And he's like, "Why are you calling me Chuck? Who the hell are you?" And she's like, "No, because you're the AI of Dr. McNider." And he's like, "This is Dr. McNider." And so that was such a cool reveal. And then like he tries to contact her and it breaks out, and all you can really hear is the shadows, the shade, and then it cuts out, and then you see him in this like shadowy world, which I thought was awesome. I have a theory. I have a theory. I think we're going to find out is that Eclipso took Dr. McNider's daughter, like we know, and the Shade was trying to help McNider get into Calypso's shadow realm to get his daughter back, and it backfired, and that's why we're hearing the Shade kill Dr. Midnight, because technically maybe yes, but it was not like I murdered him. It was I was trying to help him and screwed up.
Yeah, he's not dead. He's just somewhere else.
Right.
I like that. I think that's a good one, dude. I did not think of that.
I don't think the Shade's going to be a villain this year. I think that the Shade is there to show us that sometimes, and this is sort of shown in this episode with the Sportsmaster and his wife, that sometimes villains can do the right thing because there's a difference between bad and evil. And if the Shade remains bad, then he will still fight evil. And so I think that's where they're going with it. So it would just make sense.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds pretty damn sound to me. Nice detective work there, Jason.
Thank you. I try. It's not all mojo for me. It's not all mojo.
It's not. I think you're learning something from Baywatch Nights, how to be a detective and like things, piece it together.
My God, if only I could go back to the 90s and I could join the Baywatch Nights Detective Agency. I don't want to join the cast. I want to join the fictional detective agency.
I would pay to see that. All right, so let's get into our last CW verse show as they are dwindling down for the year. Supergirl, Season 6, Episode 9. Jason, what do you got for us on this one?
All right, you know what? This is a better episode than we've been getting, I think.
Yeah.
I thought this was a fine episode. I mean, we don't have many left till the end, so I'm always like, whenever any show is getting down to the last, I'm always like, is this the right episode for your last run of like 12 episodes? So like, having said that, like, I think this is a fine episode. It's just, again,
where's it going?
I was hoping for better. Like, so, all right. So it starts off with Nia is dreaming again. And as we know, that's her power, like her alien power. She can go into the dream world and that was a big thing, like when she first was introduced, because her mother never got to teach her how to use the power, and so she's always very insecure. And Mixaplix's like cousin is hanging around there from the Phantom Zone, and so like that's the sort of A. Well, I don't know if that's the A story. I don't know what the A story is in this. That's one of the stories. I guess the A story is the dirty nuclear bomb, right?
Yeah,
so,
I guess because it's Supergirl.
Yeah, so well, let's do the Nia thing quickly. So Nia keeps dreaming, and she keeps being visited by Mixaplix's cousin, and Mixaplix's cousin says, look, I got stuck here. I'm an imp from the fifth dimension. I'm in your dream world. This makes sense if you read the comic, which is implied, I'm sure. I need your help to get out, so can you get me out? And I was like, yes, but it's very dangerous. I don't even know you. And then an owl keeps showing up and attacking Mixaplix's, cousin. And the owl is obviously her mother. It's not said, but like they drop so many hints, which why at the end it makes no sense that she kills the owl and helps Mixaplix escape.
I don't know. Well, yeah, because Mixaplix says like, hey, listen, I'll if you help me get out of here, I'll bring your mother back for 24 hours. I can do that. And blah, blah, blah.
That's right. I forgot to mention that. So yes, I understand like the allure of it. But like, you're going to have 24 hours with your mother, where she goes, didn't you fucking listen to me when I was an owl and I told you this woman was evil? Because the owl talks.
Yeah, the owl talks. I got a lot of Harry Potter vibes from this damn owl. Yeah.
But like the owl comes and pretty much says like, don't like, it's all cryptic stuff, but it's very clearly don't trust this woman. This is evil stuff. Like, don't do it. But she does it anyway at the end because she wants to see her mother. I think this would have been way more effective if I didn't know that Mixaplix was evil. or Mixaplex's cousin. Like that, like I saw what she did in the Phantom Zone, so I know that this is a setup for something. Like, so I don't know, like. But I guess they also wanted to have her here because apparently she's going to be something in this later season. I don't know. I don't know where this season is going. I think is the problem. What? All right. So then that's that. Then the other, that was the B story, I'd say. Then the C story is Jimmy Olsen's sister, who I forgot that was Jimmy Olsen's sister to the end of this episode, Kelly. I literally wrote, because it's been so long since I did my Supergirl binge, I can't remember anyone's names except for Nia Nahal, Brainy, and Supergirl. So I literally wrote the social worker girlfriend of David Bowie is looking in on alien kids in foster care.
Hey, listen, I'm going to say one thing. This is a big win for this episode. She doesn't suit up.
She
the
doesn't.
Entire episode. I think that's awesome. Anytime she doesn't suit up, we're good. And I also forgot that she's going by Sentinel when she puts on her David Bowie makeup.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot what her name was, because that happens like very late in the last season, and it was just not something I ever got on board with. I don't remember, to be honest.
I don't remember this at all.
Or maybe they gave it to her now because, and this is where the Kelly thing is going, is she becomes Guardian at the end of the episode, so there'll be Sentinel and Guardian.
Yes,
I guess.
Listen, you know how I feel already about Alex Danvers suiting up. It's never a good thing unless she gets a new suit, because it's really hard, really hard to get through with that.
It's not a good suit. I do love the Martian Manhunter suit, though. I do love that guy.
He's awesome. Yes, so even though I know why he's not in Martian form all the time, because it probably cost a lot of money for CW. I know, burn through their budget. But I've gotten over that a couple of years ago. So
and I like that actor a lot. I watched some stupid movie the other day, and he was in it, and I was like, oh, hey, it's John Johns. Like, I got excited for his little cameo. But anyway, so then there's this whole B plot that's tied in with the A plot of so there's this foster care home for alien kids, and the aliens have to wear power dampening things in case they throw tantrums or whatever. And the Kelly comes in and checks in and notices that one of her charges, it seems there's something wrong. His brother's a convict, and it leads to the brother and 6 other alien convicts are being used to steal pretty much stuff to put together a dirty nuclear bomb. And that's what leads into the Supergirl stuff. Supergirl stops it. Eddie, are you frozen? Oh, I don't know if you can hear me now. Damn it. All right. Well, I don't know if anyone can hear me, if I'm frozen or if Eddie's frozen. So I am. Oh, yeah. Eddie was frozen. Okay. That was not me. I thought that was me. So I will just continue going on with the Supergirl. So, so Kelly becomes the Guardian, and then we have this whole thing with these aliens, and they're really trying to make I think, a comment on sort of the prison system, because you have these aliens are being sort of forced against their will to use their powers to steal, and the one main alien who's in the show, who's the brother, who's in the this gang, he robbed a store because they were poor. It's not even he was a serious offender. So I think that was what they were going for. I think overall it was interesting. But again, I just don't know where this season is going, because it seems like they're doing a lot of so we did that whole Phantom Zone thing in the first beginning of the season, and then that was kind of wrapped up halfway through, and now I guess we're doing this Mixaplex thing. I don't know where the dirty bomb comes in. It seems like we're doing one-off episodes. So I don't know. I thought it was an okay episode, but not for a final season leading up to the end, because they don't have that many left. It's winding down. And that that's all. I think that's all I have on Supergirl. So Eddie is not back yet. So what else? what else can I talk about? Of course, I don't want to start What If without Eddie. That would be crazy. That would be madness. So I guess what I'm going to do is I will... he really fell out an unfortunate time. I could have talked for a while if he had fallen out before change of a segment. Ooh, all right. So I guess what I can do is I can recap the What If episodes until Eddie gets back with the new one. So what we've done so far, What If wise, we have so far seen What If Captain Carter was Captain America. Peggy Carter became Captain America. That was an interesting one. We also saw What If T'Challa became Star-Lord, which I think was my favorite one at that so far. And then we had What If the World's Mightiest Heroes Were Never Formed. Which I wanna call out Mike Whitey Bear, friend of the show, friend of ours, who on the stream on Facebook had said, I think Hank Pym taught us what can be accomplished with resources and planning in a fight. So for those of you people who say Batman can't take Superman with planning, Batman can't take the Hulk with planning, Batman can't take this or that with planning, well, I think Hank Pym taught us with resources and planning time, many, many things could be accomplished. True story. All right, so I got a message from Ed. He's working to get back on. I told him to start What If. So this week's What If is what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? Interesting premise. I thought. I thought so. Okay, so interesting premise. At first, I thought, wait, so like instead of his hands getting shattered, he gets something through his heart, but that was not it. I took it too literally, and the whole episode revolves around. So Stephen Strange in the movie was not like he was dating someone, but they were kind of estranged, I think, at the point, if I remember correctly, when he gets into his accident. And this What If shows that they were together and they were going off to the award ceremony that he was going off to in the movie when he gets into his accident, except in his accident, instead of shattering his hands, it kills her. Now, the interesting thing about this episode, I think, is that it literally from there, we get the Doctor Strange movie. He goes and looks for the mysticism. He finds the chosen one. He finds the Sanctum Sanctorum. He becomes the keeper of the Time Stone. He not battles, but he sort of outwits Dormammu. All that stuff in the movie happens, but because his inciting incident was his dead girlfriend, his dead lover, instead of his hands, he can't get over it. And so it shows him being obsessed about it. Then he decides to use the Time Stone to go back and try to change it. And we get, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the movie The Time Machine, which was done in the 2000s, which is loosely based on the book. But it's pretty much the first 20 minutes of The Time Machine, where Guy Pearce's wife dies, and he just keeps using his time machine to go back and save her. And no matter what he does, she dies. She's destined to die. That is simply what it is. And so we see a montage of him trying to save her. We see a montage of him standing her up. No matter what he does, she gets killed. And then he decides that he is going to figure out a way to bring her back. And he talks to the Ancient One. The Ancient One tells him it's a fixed point in time. Nothing you can do about it. Because and this is where I kind of had a problem with the episode, but I guess not a big deal. But because she says, well, if you don't lose your girlfriend, if you don't lose your love, then you will never come looking for the mysticism. You'll never fight Dormammu. None of that fun stuff will ever happen. So it's a fixed point, because without her death, Doctor Strange wouldn't seek out the dark art, not the dark arts, but the magical arts and the such that he does. However, we do know, because we saw Doctor Strange, that, like, I don't know, the Ancient One could just take his hands, right? Like, why can't the Ancient One just break his hands on the thing and let the woman live? Why can't destiny or fate do that? I don't know. But so what happens is he decides he's going to go way, way back in time and find a forgotten library that's been destroyed in the present. And he reads all these books, and he pretty much becomes an incredible master of magic. And he realizes that there are magical creatures that if he absorbs their powers, he can get enough power to undo a fixed point in history. Which he does. He studies. He then does a bunch of duels and absorbs a whole bunch of power from, gods and demons and devils and such. And he undoes the fixed point. And then what we find out is him doing that messes up the world, right? Half of it is destroyed and half of it's not. It's in this like stasis state. And we find out that the Ancient One, as Doctor Strange was leaving, hits him with some sort of spell that separates him. So two Stranges appear. One goes off and does the evil Strange thing, and the other just goes back to Sanctum Sanctorum and gets drunk. Because he wakes up the next day and goes, wow, that whiskey, what was in that whiskey I drank? And so he is set the task of training himself to go fight what is now the evil version of himself. And he goes and does that, and he loses. And Doctor Strange does it. He brings back his girlfriend, and she's terrified of him, and it destroys the world. And I'm going to say the coolest part of the episode is when he becomes so powerful that he can actually talk to the Watcher. He sees the Watcher, and it's hinted at in the episode, which I thought was really, really smart, because the Watcher speaks to us, and he goes, hey, who's there? And then he sees the Watcher at the end. He says, I know who you are. I've read about you. Your people are gods. You can fix this. And he's like, nope, can't. Shouldn't have done it. And he's like, don't punish the world for my mistake. And he's like, you of all people know what happens when you try to go back in time or try to use magic to correct a mistake. And he says, sorry. And he just leaves, and the world is destroyed. So it's a bleak what if. I like that they went end of the world with it. I like that, I like that Doctor Strange is kind of split. I like the look of evil Doctor Strange. I think that's kind of cool. I just don't buy, though, that the Doctor Strange that we saw, like the Doctor Strange who learned the things that he did have to learn in that movie, like, going against Dormammu, like doing everything the way he did it. I just don't see that Doctor Strange being that short-sighted. Like, we know he's short-sighted. He's very likely the reason the multiverse gets splintered for Peter Parker, as we saw in the trailer. He does in the first one is impulsive with his use of magic. But this is, also the guy who saw the one outcome of Thanos and kept in Infinity War and kept his mouth shut so everything could work out. Like, so what I'm saying is he's not a guy who would go that far, I think. And so that was my only problem with this what if, but I thought it was cool to see what happened with it. I thought it was cool to see Doctor Strange fight himself. And, as always, it's cool to see the Watcher. I'm actually excited. In February, they're putting out a action figure line of these what if collections with Star-Lord as T'Challa, the evil Doctor Strange. I think there's zombie Captain America. There's vampire hunter or zombie hunter Spider-Man. Some interesting ones. There's, of course, Peggy Carter. And the Build-A-Figure is the Watcher. So I think I am going to be breaking my action figure fast, which I have been in for a little while. No, I broke that about a month ago. But whatever. Doesn't matter. All right. So that is what if. I'm going to text Eddie because he told me to do what if, but he's not back yet. I'm going to text Eddie, and then I am going to get back to you guys, and maybe I will go ahead and continue to do the Teen Titans, or maybe I'll just talk about old issues of What If comics that I have read. Let's see. All right, so I just texted Ed. So, old issues of What If comics. So I used to read these comics all the time. This was one of the ones I collected. I still have a ton of them in my closet. So let me see. There are some that I had as a kid. So I had what if? Oh, this was always a memorable one. What if Conan the Barbarian fought Wolverine? I think Wolverine gets like sent back into that time, and I don't know how he faced off Conan the Barbarian, but Conan like kills him. Conan takes his head off with his sword, or like cuts his throat or something, and he loses so much blood that he goes insane, but the healing factor saves him, so he becomes a wild animal running across Conan's time. So that was a memorable one. The What If comic I thought was the biggest cheat is, what if the Punisher's family had never been killed? So what happens, the Punisher's family isn't killed, and he doesn't become the Punisher, but then they are killed, and he becomes the Punisher. So it's like, it really should have been called, what if the Punisher's family was killed later, and he became the Punisher later? And you get some weird ones, like what if the X-Men stayed in Asgard? And apparently, like, I think Frog Thor is in that one. And it's them just chilling in Asgard. And then, what if Vision took over the world? That was an interesting one. There was some interesting what if comics. And a friend of mine just got the what if omnibus. I think I might go back and do a little reading of the what ifs, because I just find the alternate dimensions, the alternate theories pretty interesting. Eddie, you've returned to us.
It's I had to reboot my Wi-Fi and everything, dude. This storm is crazy.
It's nuts.
It is crazy flooding going on out there.
My phone is blowing up with emergency alerts.
Yeah. Wow. So that was a wild trip. I was watching on my phone since I was able to see through my Wi-Fi thing. Listen, bravo. Nice job getting that going, because it is not easy to do a show alone.
No, it isn't.
You crushed What If, dude.
I was trying not to, like, I had some dead air, because I was like, at first I was like, wait a minute, am I gone or are you gone? Because when you freeze, sometimes that means I've frozen.
Yeah,
and
I know.
And I'm literally just going, am I here? Am I here? And then you were gone. And I'm like, oh, I am here. Let me continue with Supergirl.
Yeah, dude, thank you. You're the MVP of the show to keep this thing going, because that was crazy. That was wild, man. But nice job. Nice job with What If. I'm not gonna rehash it. You covered it great.
Any thoughts? Like, what'd you think of it?
I know. I really liked it. I thought it might be the most interesting episode that they've done so far. Honestly, I really do think that this might be it, because it really took a super dark turn. Like, it
did, yeah.
And it did not end well.
It did not, which I liked. I liked that it went there.
Yeah, and I thought that was really messed up. You felt horrible for Strange when he kept on trying to save Christine the entire time. And it just ended really messed up. I thought Supreme Strange was really cool, really demonic looking and everything like that, and pretty damn evil. His whole thing with Schumer Garath, I thought was actually pretty awesome, that they kept on trying to take his powers and then like sliced his limbs off eventually and took them as well. But yeah, and I wanted to touch on what you were saying though about your issue with the episode with the ancient one pretty much saying that, if you don't lose her, it's a fixed point in time. I think he was just referring to this universe's Doctor Strange.
Okay.
I don't think not our Doctor Strange, just this universe. Apparently that was the only way. Because remember, there's no other Avengers that show up. There's no other anything. So I don't know. For all I know, in this universe, maybe Doctor Strange is the only one.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I actually do have a question for you that I did want to ask, and I'm glad that I remembered because it's what if related. So we are led to believe. So all right, first off, we know that in canon, in the MCU, the Watchers existed before all of this Phase 4 stuff, right? Because of Guardians 2. What have they been doing? If their whole thing is to watch the multiverse, and the multiverse didn't exist because of Kang, before the TVA was taken down. What have they been watching this whole time? What do they do?
Well, I think what they're doing though is my guess is they're watching Kang constantly resetting those timelines.
Oh, you think that's what it is? Like,
I think he was watching them do that because remember technically a multiverse did exist and it kept popping up and he kept on. It was kind of like weeds growing. Think about it like that, and he kept on trying to like smother them over and over and over. So I think the Watchers were watching this whole thing happen. I don't know how many Watchers there are, but
there's a race of them, and I think we see 3 of them in Guardians, right?
Yeah, I believe it was like 3, and Stanley was supposedly one of them.
Of course he is. I was like in my headcanon, Stanley is Watu, who is that's our Watcher who watches Earth.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's my guess of what the Watchers were doing.
Okay. That is an answer I did not expect, and it makes sense to me. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Wi-Fi, for jumping back on finally after you got rebooted and stuff. And I was running up and down the stairs, and my dogs are like, "What the hell is this guy? What's wrong with him?" Marvel, Mando, who knows? They're right now. They're laying outside of the door of the room that I do the show in because Angie's bartending tonight.
Okay.
So that's their new thing. They just like, all right, he's in there. Let's just lay there and
they must be freaked out with the storm.
I think they're curious to know what's going on. So thankfully, they haven't been crying or like shivering or anything like that. They're just kind of like, what the hell is that? So
yeah, okay, that's not too bad.
But a lot of dogs do freak out though. Normally, we got kind of lucky with these. All right, so then let's jump into Titans, man. Let's jump in. Because we got a lot to dive into this week, man. So, Titans season 3, episode 5, dude. This we were talking about before the show, Jason. I think this is my favorite episode of Titans to date.
Me too.
And we have probably a lot of reasons why. Because man, was this super Batman centric.
Like this episode of Titans proves my point that I've been saying forever. Without a doubt, that you can have a Batman show that is not hokey or goofy and that hits emotional beats and looks good and still retains the essence of the comic. Because this episode does exactly that. Like this episode, so not to jump ahead too far, but like, the Lazarus Pit is in this episode. Now, the Lazarus Pit, in my opinion, is something that's one of those like kind of goofy Batman things that it works in the comics because comics can be goofy, but there's a reason it wasn't in Batman Returns or Batman Begins. There's a reason Ra's al Ghul wasn't immortal in Batman Begins because it's hard to make those sort of weirder things work in real life. But this episode does it. This episode gives us a weird fountain of youth, fountain of rejuvenation, it fucking works. And that's what I'm saying. You could do a Batman show and like even just the look of and I want to get into Batman's trophies, but the look of his trophies, they were so good looking. Like the look on, they gave us that Joker scene again from the when Jason Todd's killed and just how good looking the victim is. Like, oh my God, this is such a good looking episode. And this is such I won't stop talking about how good it is unless you stop me, Ed.
Dude, so the episode is called Lazarus. That's literally the title of this episode, which automatically tells you. And I didn't tell Angie what the title was of the episode. So you can kind of saw that was coming. And we both know that Jason Todd's resurrection is tied, to the Lazarus Pit and everything like that. So that is something that I think that was a nice surprise for people if they didn't catch the title of it. Yeah, but we got this episode serves as Jason Todd Red Hood's origin story because, like you mentioned earlier, before we went on, we don't get really any of the Titans in this episode outside of a former Titan in Jason Todd.
Yeah, this is all in Gotham. Jason Todd, Bruce Wayne, Dr. Tompkins. Which is a huge Batman person. Like that's a Bat family like VIP. And the Scarecrow. I mean, that's pretty much the big names that we have, and those are all Batman names.
Yeah, no, this was the, like you said, Batman TV. This is an episode of Batman, essentially, but focused on Jason Todd, which is what makes it, fit in with Titans. So we find out right off the bat something that me and Tim were talking about last week. Crane and Red Hood are working together. We knew that. We were wondering who was going to be pulling the strings and things like that. We find out in this episode, Scarecrow was pulling the strings. And did he have a huge plan. And he took a lot of risks in this one. But boy, does he had shit planned out, man. Wow. Wow, did he play Jason Todd like a fiddle, man.
Yep. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And again, I want to say again, the casting of Vincent Kartheiser as a Scarecrow, perfect. Not something I would have seen, which is why I don't work in casting. But because it's not your comic book Scarecrow. It's not your Batman Begins Scarecrow. This is kind of like an older stoner, sort of like, I'm retired kind of Scarecrow, just sort of waiting to get his claws back out, which is what this episode is. And he plays it so perfectly.
And he plays the stoner part essentially, like you were just saying, oh, I'm retired, oh, I got a bong, oh, look at this, blah, 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 yeah, I'm selling out to the GCPD. But he reveals his master plan, essentially to pretty much have Gotham eating out of the palm of his hand.
Yeah, and his plan, which I love, because this is such a perfect supervillain Scarecrow plan, is they're going to make the city fear, and then Red Hood's going to swoop in and save them. Now, that can only mean one thing when the Scarecrow says it, and that means they are going to fill Gotham with fear toxin. Because when the Scarecrow says we got to make someone afraid, he's not talking about putting on a horror movie and jumping out of the dark. He's talking about fear toxin.
Yeah, no, that's usually his end game in all of this thing. But we find out Jason was having nightmares about Donna shooting him for months now. Apparently, Jason's been in a frenzy. Having nightmares constantly. Bruce is like checking on him and things like that.
Jason's got PTSD.
No, he does.
Yeah, he's exhibiting all of the signs of PTSD.
Yeah, and Bruce sends him to a psychologist that you had mentioned. Was Batman family royalty over there.
Yep, Dr. Tompkins, which I think she is. I really like her portrayal in this. I really like how she's characterized. Like, their sessions are great.
And then Jason and his friend Molly, they track down this guy that was Molly saying, hey, their Joker has a guy on the street tracking down, snatching up kids and shit like that. Jason wants to hear about it, and then he also finds out that this is a kid named like Diego, who, Molly says, like, listen, society doesn't care about him. He's, a brown-skinned kid and things like that. And Jason's like, no, screw this. Batman will take care of it. And then he's like, I'm going to step in. I'm going to do something about this. When he comes face-to-face with this guy, though, which, by the way, before we get to that, how awesome is that app that Jason Todd has on his phone for facial recognition?
Yes, that is awesome.
That is such a Bruce Wayne thing.
That is such a Bruce Wayne thing.
Have that.
Yep.
He uses his cell phone to pretty much go ahead and use his camera, and boom, 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 we find out everything there is to know about this damn random guy that the Joker has on the street kidnapping kids.
Hey, that's Wayne Tech, baby. Wayne Tech. Morgan Freeman created that.
Love it. But then Jason freezes when he gets face-to-face with this guy, and the guy pulls a gun out on him. He starts getting flashbacks of what happened last season with Deathstroke.
Yeah, which I thought that was cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
And the guy proceeds to beat the piss out of Jason Todd.
Yep. And the thing is, you know Jason Todd could take this guy.
Of course.
Because it's not just fear, it's PTSD. It's like your body your brain is literally hijacking your body with the fear impulse. And he freezes. And this guy just like he's kicking him when he's down. And his friend screams, no, stop. And he's so slimy. He's like, for you, pretty lady, or something like that, I'll stop. And then he kicks him one more time and he leaves. And it was like, it's such a... Man, I hated that one.
We'll get back to him in a little while. But then Jason goes for another session, and then he's like, so maybe I need to take this whole thing seriously because Bruce has benched him. Bruce is like, listen, no sessions, no Robin.
Yeah.
That's it. He didn't want to do it, but he's like, dude, you got to get your head straightened out. You got to get your head back in the game. So after that, he goes ahead and goes back to the Wayne Manor. And he finds let's get into Bruce's trophy room, which Jason Todd finds in a Batcave. He finds Scarecrow's fear gas. He goes, the Mad Hatter, he he finds something in the Mad Hatter, like the little puppet there.
No,
Catwoman's goggles.
that wasn't the Mad Hatter. That was the ventriloquist.
Oh, the ventriloquist. I'm sorry, Mad Hatter.
No, that's okay. I have an action figure of the ventriloquist right behind me.
I believe you. I believe you do. I believe you do. If they had a pop, I'd probably have it too.
I have every Batman villain but Bane.
But yeah, so then during that whole thing, like they get into the trophy. There's cards from the Joker, right? There's a knife there from like Victor Zsasz.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, like these are props from a comic book thing, right? That look good, like the mask, right, or the ventriloquist dummy, that look good in ink and on ink and paper, you know, that wouldn't necessarily, you don't know if they would translate, but they look menacing. They look like real. Yeah. There's nothing goofy about it. Like you see the mask, there's nothing goofy about it. You see the ventriloquist dummy looked like, I don't know, it was like dirty and wooden and streaked. Like you saw the history in it, you know. And the ventriloquist is like one of the most ridiculous villains. His whole thing is a mob boss with a split personality, and the ventriloquist dummy is the mob boss. Like, you know, so it looked something that goofy looked that good.
And that's what this show does. I mean, like spot on is how this show handles that stuff. And then Bruce, and also, yeah, you said Scarecrow's mask and the fear toxin are there, which is what Jason Todd takes away from that. Bruce kind of walks in on him. And I love the fact, by the way, after they have a conversation, and he kind of refers to him quickly as son, and Jason's like, son.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of takes that to heart there, even though I'm not sure in that moment, in that specific scene, that Bruce meant it that way. But Jason caught on to it. He really hooked onto that.
I don't think he did, but I don't think it was lost on him, Jason's reaction to the word. And I think that's why we get that moment later on, and which we'll get to. I don't want to jump too far ahead. But I think, you know, what this episode really does well is it portrays Jason Todd as what he is, which is a screwed up kid from a screwed up home suffering from PTSD with a lot of unresolved anger issues who's been turned into a weapon by a well-meaning sociopath. Like, I mean, I don't know this Bruce Wayne. I don't think.
Well,
Bruce
it's
Wayne
laid out in his first session.
Yes.
She goes ahead and mentions that, and she describes basically what Jason, like literally what you just said about Jason Todd.
Right. And I think that it's perfect that this episode really explores that, because what is an abused child who didn't have parents really looking for? They're looking for someone to care. They're looking for parental figures. And in that and that's what this all is about. That's why he wants to get rid of the fear. That's why he wants to be Robin. It's all about winning Bruce Wayne's approval, because Bruce Wayne in his mind is the only adult who has ever given a shit about him. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that they capture that mentality so well that that's what makes this episode work for me, because you have those moments where he's taken off guard when he's called son, and then you have moments where he is really, really viciously damaging Batman. Not like physically. We'll get to it.
No, we'll get to exactly how he does, because he really does a number on it, which we didn't really know a lot of this stuff. Yeah, this episode puts a lot of the season in context. But I love the fact that Bruce mentions he's got a conference call with Metropolis.
That's great.
And Luther's up to something. I love that. I thought it was awesome.
Because I want to see that conversation between him and Superman. Like, I want to see this Batman and Hotchner's Superman sort of, I don't know. I do.
Or whoever their Superman is, because we don't even know who their Superman is in this universe, because he's referenced a lot.
Yeah, we don't. I just said Hotchner because I like him. I'm good for whoever they put in there.
Yeah, no, or if we ever get one. I mean, I'm guessing sooner or later we will. But then I love Bruce's line to him, by the way, because Bruce is like that, you know, as he's walking away, he's mentioning something about like a friend or something like that, or meeting somebody. And he walks away. He's like, hey, listen, if she likes cats, run away.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Great line. Great line. So Jason is pretty scared of losing Robin. Like, he's pretty much, you know, he's scared of losing, so he's got to do something about it. And he's extremely desperate at this point. But Bruce picks him up from his next session.
Which before we get into that, there is a wonderful thing with Dr. Tompkins in that session where she says, this is what you were talking about, but I just remembered a quote I wanted to talk about. Like, you're worried about not being Robin again, but who is Robin? Robin is the projection of this borderline sociopath, or this vigilante with borderline personality disorder. That's what you're upset about not being. And I don't know, just when she puts it that bluntly, I really like, wow, like you kind of go, wow, Robin, any Robin. No wonder Dick Grayson is so fucked up.
Yeah, and she's probably referring to Bruce also.
Oh no, Bruce is the borderline. Like Bruce is the problem. Like that's the thing is like Bruce brings in these children, and I think we see in this episode that Bruce does consider, not in this episode, but he does consider Robin, Dick Grayson, his son. I think that's clear. Absolutely. That's obvious. But I also think he considers Jason Todd his son in a way. And I think the thing with Bruce Wayne is he is Batman. He's not Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne's the disguise. Yeah. So what's he going to do with his children? He's going to take them out vigilanteing.
You're right.
And so it's just a really interesting. It's a really interesting connective tissue that they got going between like what Batman has done wrong as a father figure and how that's having this sort of playing out on both his sons, right? Because that first season is all Dick Grayson sort of hating Batman and not wanting to be Robin anymore. And now that's what we're getting here. And I just think it's really interesting to have that throughout the series.
Yeah, well, in season 1, we get Dick Grayson not wanting to be Robin, but now we got Jason Todd who's willing to do anything to be Robin. Meanwhile, Dick Grayson's made his peace, and he's Nightwing now. He's his own man. He's got his own thing going. But that's an interesting dynamic where they got with both Robins. But Bruce picks him up from the session, and he takes him to, out of all places, Crime Alley. We get to see Crime Alley now. Thankfully, no pearls hitting the floor or anything like that. And we get to watch the whole Death of the Waynes once again for the 600th time. I was appreciative of that. But he has a really, really heartfelt conversation with Jason Todd here, telling him, like, dude, I don't want to lose you. You're like a son to me. And
what he says to him is, you don't have to be Robin to be my son. That's the exact thing he says to him. Yeah.
That hits home really hard there. Really hard there, where he really cares about this kid.
He does.
Like further than just another Robin. Like not just like it's alluded to in past episodes where at first when what we see right earlier that when Jason Todd is believed to be dead and he's already recruiting and looking on to the next one, this gives it a whole different perspective. Like, no, not really. That's not really what he was doing. He cannot care about Jason Todd.
Right. He wasn't looking like perspective, like, okay, time to replace him. It was kind of like, it's my fucking son, and what am I going to do? Like, all right, someone else needs me, maybe. And that's what I think. That's what he does. Like, he has that need, right? Because we talked about it last week, I think, where like when you have trauma in your history, your brain tries to force you to relive similar situations to fix it. So like he is Robin, and he's trying to fix the childhood of the Robins in a way that no one could fix his, except he can't because he's Batman. He's crazy,
Yeah. So he tells you he doesn't want to lose him. And then he's pretty much telling him, you're not Robin anymore. Like, that's it. You can, you're not telling you can't live in the house and everything like that, like I'm cutting you off. And then Jason thinks it's because Jason's yelling at him saying like that he failed. Yeah. Jason thinks that he failed. And he even says at one point, you give Dick everything. Mm-hmm. Like you still do to this day. Like, why can't you do that for me? You feel really bad for Jason at that point.
But Bruce has a great line because Bruce says, look, I learned from my mistakes with Dick.
And he takes it the wrong way.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm a mistake. He's like, that's not what I'm saying.
No.
He's like, I fucked up with Dick.
Right. He's taking it on himself. He's like, no, what I did to Dick was wrong. That's why the man won't talk to me. And I miss him and I love him like he's my fucking child. And I don't want to lose you like that. What Batman is saying, what Bruce Wayne is saying is, I would rather have you as Jason Todd, my son, than I would as Robin, my partner, who I can lose.
Yeah.
And then what Jason hears is, you're not good enough, which again ties into the abused child mentality. That's something that children of abuse and trauma go through. They live with this constant fear of never being enough, of never never making those who they care about happy. And that's what this moment is, right? It's two very mentally ill people trying to come together, but they can't because their own mental illness won't let it. And I think it's a beautiful moment.
It is one of the best scenes in Titans. Like, it's one of the most heartfelt scenes in the entire run so far.
Yep. And I think it says, like, so we talked about how this might change our view on this actor as Batman. And I'm going to go back to saying they hired this guy because he's an excellent Bruce Wayne. And I've said that from the beginning. I have trouble, and I still have trouble picturing him in the suit, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But his role in this isn't about being in the suit. This guy was not hired to play Batman. This guy was hired to play Bruce Wayne. And I think as Bruce Wayne, he is killing it.
Yeah. I'm coming around to appreciating, what he's given to this role. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that I have a problem picturing him suiting up, but he's not suiting up, so who cares?
Right. And I'd much rather have someone who can add this level of emotion to these scenes between him and Robin and him and Dick Grayson. I'd much rather have someone who could add sort of a little humor like we saw in the hallucinations than someone who I can see in the suit. You know what I mean?
I'm on board with that. So Jason goes ahead and takes this whole thing, pretty much feeling like he blames the doctor, saying, you sold me out and all this other shit and blah, blah, blah. And he goes on a warpath.
Creepiest thing, she calls her, because they do this thing in the session, word association. And she calls him, and this is like, hi, this is Jason. She's like, hey, doctor, word association. Liar. I don't remember what the word is, but she's just like, what are you talking? I didn't say anything.
Oh, yeah, he's like, Jason's gone at this point. Oh, yeah. He is completely gone. And that's the night where Jason is going, he's going ahead and go. Bruce is going to go to Europe and stuff like that. He's going to leave. He wants to take Jason with him. Yeah. Say, hey, maybe we both need a vacation from Gotham. But Jason doesn't want to hear anything of it. Instead, he goes to Arkham to talk to Crane because he knows Crane had he was a coworker or a colleague of the doctor.
Yeah, of Leslie Tompkins. She tells a story because there's a picture of her, a picture of him and her and other colleagues, and he says to Jason says to her, "Oh, the Scarecrow." She goes, "Yeah, not when he was a Scarecrow. Before he was a Scarecrow, he was one of my best friends up until he tried to murder me."
That could usually end a friendship.
Yeah, well, I mean, relationships are crazy like that, as we learned from Stargirl.
So Jason's thing is like, listen, I'm afraid. And he figures, hey, listen, this guy made a fear toxin. How about an anti-fear toxin to work the other way? So he has this crazy conversation where he goes to Arkham, talks to Crane, and that he pretty much shows the fear toxin he's got. Crane puts it together because he's a fucking genius there. Yeah. And he's like, wait a second. That's a very specific item right there from a very specific person. From a very specific collector. And he pretty much figures it out. It's like, dude, you're Robin.
Yeah.
You're the young Robin here. And you have access to fucking Batman. And the light bulb goes off in his head like, you can start seeing the plan formulating right there. This is what I've always wanted to do. This kid is my fucking ticket out of here.
Yep, and he has got a great line. He's got a lot of Scarecrow's got a lot of great lines in this episode, but he's got a great line here where he goes, Robin goes, "Oh, are you disappointed?" And he goes, "Not really. I always thought you had wings." Yeah. It's just such a weird fucking thing to say because there's no way in the world you would think Robin has wings.
Obviously.
And there's also a great one. I don't remember when it happens, but when he mentions like Hawk, Jason mentions Hawk, and he goes,
in the beginning, yeah.
Which one is that? Oh, right. Well, what is with these superheroes and always naming yourselves after birds?
You guys are all birds on his team. Like, what the hell? So Jason pretty much just tells him, like, listen, if in exchange, if you can give me the formula, I'll pretty much sell you out. I'm going to sell Batman out and tell you everything about it. I'll spill all the beans on him. And he says something like, do one to others. And And he's just like, he's also thinking, Jason's like, fuck this, I'm gonna get revenge on him for benching me and telling me I'm a fucking failure, even though he actually didn't say that.
Yeah, but that's what Jason heard. That's,
Yeah.
and it does make, it makes Jason still, for me anyway, sort of relatable. Like, yes, he's doing villainous things. Yes, he's screwing over my favorite superhero. But because they took the time to sew in these nice emotional beats and these psychological moments and sort of really hitting home that, yeah, there's a reason Jason's doing this. It's not just blind villainy, you know? And I really appreciate that here. Like, I actually felt in the comic book, The Red Hood, I have a lot of problems with the comic book. One of which being, like, in the comic book, his motivation is that, well, Batman didn't kill the Joker when he thought the Joker killed me, or when the Joker had killed me, and that's just unacceptable. And it's like, I never really bought the motivation for the character. Here, I completely think the motivation is earned.
Yeah, no, it's totally different. Totally different. Yeah, I never quite got that too. And they go with that in Batman Red Hood, Under the Red Hood. And they go with that in the animated version too, and I'm not really thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. Again, I think I actually really, in the comic, I have come to like the character of Red Hood as sort of like the bastard child of the Bat family, because Batman still has affection for him. He still, even though he's a darker anti-hero, but I've come to like that character. But I thought bringing him back was forced and not well thought out in the comic. I actually think this is the best version I've seen of it. The cartoon is the second best, because the cartoon is what makes the choice to make it the Lazarus Pit. The comic book, I think, is the worst, because it's like some god sneezes and it rumbles reality and he wakes up. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's kind of goofy. So pretty much he tells him but I thought Scarecrow's line to Todd saying, like, listen, by the way, I want out of here also. And the way I want out of here is, while Batman put me in here, I want Robin to break me out.
What he says is,
fly me out of here.
I want Robin to fly me out of here on his wings, the same way Batman flew me in. Which, again, it's a nice payoff to that. I thought you'd have wings. Like,
yeah, exactly. So he pretty much does that, and then we find out, we know what happened already with that. Technically, Robin did break him out, just not this Robin was the one that did it. So I thought that was pretty awesome, too. So Jason rents out a building from some dude because he needs a place to cook. He needs to go ahead and start building this shit or whatever. There's a Breaking Bad joke in here, by the way. That's also really funny. That was
all you need is an RV and you got yourself a show or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So then he goes in through a lot of trial and error through this gas, because that little gas that he has in the first episode, we mentioned it previously on Granny's Peach Tea, that we believe that this was part of the fear toxin, or a version of the fear toxin. And we find out it's the anti-fear toxin.
Yeah, which, you know, he was right in the sense that Crane could do it.
Yeah.
But what he was wrong was trusting Crane, because Crane did something to the formula. Like, he made it addictive or something. Because he says, oh, I gave you what you needed, but I changed it a bit so you have skin in the game. Which means, like, I now have control over you.
Yeah, because he tries it a bunch of times, and he goes and Crane looks into his eyes through another visit, and he can tell him, like, bravo, nice job, and everything like that. Yeah. And he pushes him. He manipulates Jason. He's like, well, you got to take this thing and go after Batman's most, wildest villain, essentially the Joker, and pretty much pushes him to go find the Joker. Then it goes back to that scene we see in the first few minutes of the season, where Jason's tracking down, talking to Bruce. He tracks down a Joker. He decides to go in head first after him with his now we know it's an anti-fear toxin, and fucking gets killed.
And you see his body, like,
yes,
like he's beaten, like it's not
mangled,
pretty.
And it's really bad. That crowbar really did a number on Jason, because Jason died. He did kill him.
He was dead, yes. I mean, because he's brought back by the Lazarus Pit. Do you think the Scarecrow's plan was that Jason would be killed by the Joker? Or was it kind of like, I have contingencies for both?
I think he wanted to get Jason killed, and he was confident the Joker would do it.
Okay.
I do think that he pushed him in that direction purposely, because he was hinting at the Joker really, and I wonder if he also kind of like put out breadcrumbs for Jason to kind of find the Joker.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
I kind of think he did. because he seems like this whole plan of his was very, very well thought out and took a lot of things to orchestrate to make that happen. Because we find out that after Jason is killed, his body is. There's also that scene, by the way, in Arkham when the cops are telling everyone, the inmate, they're telling all the inmates to get down, that Joker just killed Robin, and you can see him smirk. Crane laughs and smirks the whole time, and it's like a light bulb goes off again. Like, oh shit, I got it. Like, this is perfect now. He somehow orchestrates a way for his body to be brought to Arkham, to this Lazarus pit, which Ra's al Ghul left a little rat Lazarus pit that Bruce didn't even know about. Jason gets dipped into there, brought back to life, and then wham, he wakes up and he's there with Crane in some isolated area within Arkham. So Arkham's, well, we assume everything in Gotham is corrupt.
Of course.
Of course it is. If it's in Gotham, it's corrupt. If it's not related to Batman specifically.
I mean, look, you know how you know Arkham Asylum's corrupt? Because they keep letting these people out. How the hell does the Joker escape with a bottle of water or a bucket of water? I mean, come on. He did that in an episode of the animated series. Water. I mean, come on. They're the corrupt or stupid.
Yeah, so then Crane gives him the special dose of the anti-fear gas and pretty much tells him, he lays out the whole plan. I'm gonna put Gotham in a frenzy. They're gonna come back running to us. You're the hero who's gonna save the day. He gives him, I don't know where the hell he got the mask, the Red Hood mask from, and the guns and all of that. Whatever. I can overlook that. It's who cares?
Do I really need an extra 10 minutes of him shopping? Who cares?
No, exactly. However it is, he got it, right. And he goes at it and suits him up. What does Jason do? The first fucking act he gets, he goes right after that douchebag in the alley who kicked his ass. He fucking kills him. He tells him, I want you to, very Batman-like, by the way. And I thought it called back to like Batman 89.
Absolutely.
I want you to tell your friends about me. And he's like, nah, boom, shoots him in the head. I'll tell him myself.
Oh, it's a great scene. And I was taken aback. I didn't think I was going to see Red Hood just execute someone.
Yeah, me neither.
And I'm glad I did, because he does that. He's not a hero in the comic. He's an anti-hero, right? Yeah. So I'm glad they went there. But it was such a cool scene, because you're right. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh wow, okay, he's kind of doing the Batman thing. Oh, he just shot that guy in the head. And you see, like, he pulls a trigger and then they show like the blood all over the wall. It's like, oh wow, like, it's not gory. You don't really see anything, but it gives the illusion of like, wow, this is serious.
Yeah, he shoots him point blank. Right in the fucking face.
In the face. But before we move away from the Crane scene, we have to talk about Crane dancing. I mean, I did it in the beginning, but how awesome was it watching I was going to say Dr. Fraser Crane. That's a different Dr. Crane.
Not that one.
How awesome was it watching the Scarecrow get super stoned while villain monologuing and dancing? I was such a perfect moment.
Yeah, no, that was like, it was super, that's what we talked about earlier, super psychedelic. It was all out there. It was all about what this Scarecrow is all about. Yep. And it was another phenomenal scene in this episode, which is what makes it, again, it is my favorite episode of Titans. Boy, when episode 6 drops tomorrow, it has a lot to live up to. But then at the end of the episode, he goes ahead, Red Hood, after he executes this guy, finds the kid Diego that was missing, brings him back to Molly, and Molly is petrified. She knows immediately, by the way, doesn't take his mask off, doesn't do anything. She knows exactly that. Says, Jason, you need fucking help.
Yeah. And I love that because, I get it. Like, we watched Supergirl, right? And there was a thing on Supergirl just tonight. Just this episode, where she is interviewed as Supergirl by the guy that she works with every day at Catco. Mm-hmm. And he has no fucking idea it's her. And I get it. Like, I have to do that. I'm not like complaining about it, but it's very refreshing to see this, like, oh no, I know you're Jason. I recognize your voice. And I'm not stupid. We talked about saving Diego and you did it. Like, I just love that she's not stupid. She knows it's him right away. And it's just refreshing because in other shows, you can't really do that because it ruins the illusion. And this just goes for it. And she's terrified. And he's just like, I love, and the end. I'll let you explain the end, but I really like that moment too.
Yeah, no, that was it. That was the end of the episode. He goes at it and he storms off.
Yeah, that's it. He just walks out. Like there's no resolution.
Oh, he says, oh yeah, get as he's walking out, get some better fucking locks.
Yeah, get some better locks. Like it's almost like a throwaway line is the last line of this episode, and but I think it works. I think everything about this episode works. Like that's why there are certain things, like you said, where do you get the red hood and the gun? Who cares? It works. Like if it works, it works.
Yeah, no, it's just absolutely outstanding, man. If you are into DC stuff and you're into that, and I know a lot of people are sour on the movies because they are hit or miss, and we cataloged that in our first whatever the hell number it was of episodes of Granny's Peach Tea. We reviewed all the DCU movies to date. We're very much stating that we feel they're all up and down and they're hit or miss, but this show is the best live action DC property hands down that's out right now. Doom Patrol is very close to it, and Superman and Lois is also excellent too, but Titans is like on another level. And when we get into Doom Patrol, we'll see where they bring it with season 3 too. The Titans is fucking killing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and again, if you're a Batman fan and you haven't checked this out, because I'm a huge, that's my DC thing, Batman. And like if you notice the you can't see them, the action figures behind me, that's 3 shelves of Batman stuff almost, like, and I had never seen this show because I just got HBO Max to do the show for you with, so I could catch up with the show before Granny's Peach Tea. And I had never thought to watch it because I don't know anything about Titans. I don't, outside of Dick Grayson, and Jason Todd, I don't really know the Titans. I didn't really care about them too much. Not because I didn't like them, I just didn't know them. Yeah. But like as a Batman fan, like this hits so many of the Batman buttons for me. Again, it's the closest we're ever going to get to a live action Batman. But the other Titans are also really interesting too, and they hold my attention. So if you're a Batman fan who kind of likes wants to dabble in DC, I think this is perfect. Check it out.
Yeah, no, it's it's the gateway drug.
It is the gateway drug. Which is funny because Doom Patrol was my gateway drug because I started with Doom Patrol.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Which I'm excited. I saw that preview that you sent to me. I'm excited, man. There's time travel. That show's batshit crazy, and there's time travel, and I'm all in.
Yeah, after we've had I think they said it on the promo for the trailer earlier today. DC even wrote it themselves. Like, listen, we had sex ghosts. We've had essentially they've had like a donkey farting and pretty much like blowing things out and everything like that. How the hell do we top it? We got time travel now.
Time travel. And this show, I'm excited. Brendan Fraser is always fun. Matt Bomer, again, I always say Matt Bomer, one of the best looking guys on TV, and his character is in a bandage. You don't get to see him, which I love it. I love that choice.
Yeah. No, it's this rumbling there. Thor.
Ooh. God of Thunder.
God of Thunder has arrived on Granny's Peach Tea. So, yeah, no, I'm super excited for Doom Patrol, man. Doom Patrol is wacky as fuck, man. And it's really good. And it is a spin-off of Titans. And it completely does its own thing.
Yeah. Tonally, it's so different. And that's why when I watched Doom Patrol and you told me it was a spin-off of Titans, and because Gar comes from Titans, Beast Boy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm watching Titans. Like, I don't see. I was watching Doom Patrol. I'm like, I don't see how Titans are going to fit on this, and they are tonally so different, but it works. But I think that's why I like the two shows because they're not the same. One is like serious comic book stuff, and the other is wacky, crazy shit.
And that's what we always say that we love about the MCU is that everything is all connected in one universe, but they're not one and the same at all.
Right, exactly. Like we know the Doom Patrol and the Titans exist in the same universe, but the shows are so vastly different. They don't ever have to meet again. They've already done that.
Not really, yeah.
And that's it. And I really like that. And again, I'm with you. I think, Marvel's killing it in the theater, but I think DC is really killing it with TV. And Marvel's catching up because, we've had some good runs of, with Loki and Winter Soldier and WandaVision. But, stuff like this, I always say this, but I wish DC would focus more on these television shows because they do a better job with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think both are doing great jobs in, like, yeah, Marvel is I think you also too have been a fan of what Marvel has done on TV as well. Like, I do love the Netflix stuff. Yes, Iron Fist is a disappointment.
But that stuff's not MCU canon anymore, right?
Well, we'll see. I mean, if Charlie Cox shows up as Murdoch in Spider-Man: No Way Home, guess what? It's all canon. Back, baby. It's all back now. So I know I've appreciated a lot of what Marvel's done on TV, but I do admit DC has had a longer running, more consistent, time at it. They've done TV better than Marvel has. Marvel's catching up now because Marvel Studios, and that's the big thing here. Marvel Studios is the one that's doing these Disney Plus shows. Not, Marvel TV was a separate entity, and that's who did the Netflix shows, which again, I love the Netflix shows. Inhumans was completely unwatchable and horrendous.
I never even tried.
It is a total disaster. I almost want, if we get a time for it, I almost want you to watch Inhumans because I want to get your reaction to it.
I'll do it.
Oh my, you are going to dread it. It was painful.
That's pretty bad.
It is really bad. Cloak and Dagger, we both dug.
Oh, I enjoyed Cloak and Dagger a lot. Yeah.
We dug that.
And then Jessica Jones, I love Jessica Jones.
And
that was a character I had never seen in the comic book. I only know her from the Netflix show. She was great. I actually really liked that first season of Luke Cage a lot.
Yeah. I like Defenders. I love Punisher.
Yeah, Punisher. I really that's the thing, and we've spoken about this, but I wish they would just port all of these characters to the MCU. Even if it's not, you're not gonna make movies out of it. But I've heard rumors that Jessica Jones is gonna show up in She-Hulk. Why not?
Yeah, no, I think that would be great. And Jonathan, I'm with you.
I forgot about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah.
Absolutely loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's the one that it's still debatable. I know Craig Clark has been going around and saying, hey, listen, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon, because technically it is part of the MCU. They acknowledge all these shows acknowledge the MCU at some point, but they were really the most tied in out of all the shows. Well, I take that back. Agent Carter really was tied into the MCU. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter definitely super tied in, and I consider them canon.
I think what really ties in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the fact that Coulson was a character from the MCU movies, and you do get actually Nick Fury on that show, so that's got to make it canon right there.
I agree.
That is an MCU thing. It's iffy about the Defenders and stuff like that. The Marvel will answer that question, if they put them in a movie. But I think unquestionably what goes on in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon. Yeah, and Agent Carter, I agree with you, Jonathan. Again, I dug Agent Carter as well. I love the character. Hallie Atwell's phenomenal as the character. We might, those rumors floating around in the next Doctor Strange that she'll appear as Captain Carter. We'll see. I do wish that would have got more of a run, but it only lasted 2 seasons. And Tahiti is a magical place, Jonathan. I completely agree with you 100%. Jonathan, you almost got me. I was drinking. I didn't expect that one.
But DC's been at this too for a while, they've done some really cool shit over time over different networks too. I mean, if some of you out there did see Birds of Prey, it was one of their first cracks at it. That was an interesting run that they had there on that one season of that for its time. Obviously, it doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold up now, but for its time, I thought it was cool. We enjoyed what we got. And then Smallville, I didn't get into because the concept is just not for me. And then Arrow gave birth to the whole CW verse, and that's been extremely successful for most of it. At least the first couple of seasons of each show seems to be really good, and then things get a little bit dicey after that.
Yeah, but that's anything. That's the thing. It's I don't think shows are meant to run 10 years.
No, if you get 6-7 years of a show, 8 years around there, you've had a pretty damn good run.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you just start to run out of ideas because even as you said with Flash before, they're bringing back some of the old classic characters, and that's great. But what that means is they've run out of ideas, and they want to get back to the old, the old sort of feel of it. And I think that just happens. I think that's what's happening to Supergirl, right? Supergirl had I thought of a great run. Look, it's 5th season. First 4 seasons were super solid.
Well, 6. This is season 6. The first 5 seasons were solid.
5 seasons, super solid. This season's all over the place because I don't think they know what to do. And I think that's what happens is you just run out of ideas about what to do with these characters if you go too long. Because of Flash. Look, Flash, not a very good season we just had, but there were phenomenal seasons of the Flash, that I would absolutely say is must see DC television.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jonathan, I'm sure both of us and Tony would agree with you too. We really hope that Superman and Lois continues on that path because that first season was killing.
It's great. And I really hope they bring John Cryer in because it doesn't look like Supergirl's going to be using him anymore.
Yeah, that's just a mystery to me, man. What is going on? Where the hell did he go?
Because why use an established free Lex Luthor when you could have Mixoplex's cousin?
I really do hope they preserve him for Superman and Lois because that would be holy shit. Would I be fucking thrilled about that?
That'd be great. I'd love to see that happen.
Yeah. So, all right. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for us this week. Thanks for joining us. Sorry about the crazy technical difficulties that we had earlier. Props, kudos to Jason's giving a hand for holding down the fort.
Thank you.
You did. I had it on my phone because I was able to not have Wi-Fi, and I was watching this. I'm like, I got you on my phone while I'm running around trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And I'm like, yeah, he's doing a solid job. Maybe I should just sit back and watch this thing and go.
You sent me the text just do what if, and I had said wow, I could have talked for a while if it wasn't in the middle of a segment change. But when you told me to just do what if, I was like, I'm just going to talk about what if.
There's Rick. What's up, dude?
Rick?
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So nice job. Kudos to you for doing that. It's, sometimes shit hits the fan, and we got to pull through.
The show must go on. That's my motto.
Yeah. So we appreciate all the support for that. If you like the Juror tonight and you're on Facebook, go to our Facebook group on Granny's Peach Tea, join the group, check it out. We share a bunch of different articles that we don't necessarily always talk about on every episode because we can't do it. We would do a 24-hour episode if we had to do that, and we would have no problem with it. But I'm not sure Farachi or anyone else would be too thrilled about that. We just do a marathon episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll hope to see you out there. Check out Pop Culture Pros. Join that group. Follow us on Instagram or on Twitter or on YouTube, and hit subscribe if you want to check out our past episodes and our future episodes of this show and other shows. If you're into wrestling, you can check out Tim and Eric on the Just Too Sweet show. You could also see Tim everywhere, but you could also see him on Shooting the Sith, which is his new Star Wars show that'll be on Tuesdays. Tim's on here sometimes.
He is.
Tim's on. We stomped you out, which is the Giants show.
And I will be doing some guest spots on Shooting the Sith. Tim has already asked me, so tune in, see what we got in store.
Yeah, that's it. I love it. I like Jason is spreading out as well. He's getting into Shooting the Sith and stuff like that. Right. Who knows? Well, I'm sure you'll pop on some of the random Shooting the Shit episodes.
You give me 4 more months. Me and Bert will be doing episodes on Columbo. Watch it.
I would absolutely love it.
Actually, how great would that be if Bert and I did a breakdown of Columbo every week? That actually would be pretty fun.
I think you should do it. I think Farachi, if you're listening, you should go ahead and give them their own show. Let them do Columbo.
It'll be called One More Question.
If you're into the Mets, check it out. The Put in the Book show with Farachi and the guys. They do a great job covering the Mets. If you're into the New York Yankees, you can check out the Empire 161 show. Me and Lisa will be back on Sunday nights, which is usually our time to recap the week in Yankees baseball. Check out the Four Quarters show with Dave, and they go ahead and I know they're in and out of a lot of things, but they cover all sports all around. And check out the A to Z show. If you like Eric on his shows, you go check out A to Z because he literally covers everything from A to Z. Next week on Granny's Peach Tea, we'll be back next Wednesday night. We are super excited because we'll have a new episode of Titans to talk about to see how they followed up on this awesome episode. There's another episode of What If coming out, which I don't know what next week's episode's about yet because they seem to hint at it like 24 hours before. They still got the Marvel Zombies episode to get into. We know that that's on there. There's another one with Ultron that's on the docket, and I'm not sure what the other ones are. There's a couple of wacky ones that are still out there, which I'm excited to see. But most of all, we will have a new movie next week because Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings drops tomorrow, which I know Bert got a screener pass to see it tonight. So I know I was giving Farachi shit about not getting us screen passes. I want to know. Let's go.
Aren't we press officially now?
I would think so. We're 31 episodes into this damn thing. I think we're worthy of passes. I think he was having some trouble getting New York passes because I think they're in like high demand or crazy demand or something like that. Fair. So hopefully he'll get us in there. But I will have seen it 3 times by the time we're on episode. I'm going with Jason. Jason and I are going Tuesday afternoon to check it out in IMAX.
Very
so
excited.
Can't wait to see that. And I think we will have the return of Tony next week for Shang-Chi. We shall see. So everyone, if you're in New York, get through the storm. Hopefully nothing crazy is going on by you.
Be safe.
Be safe out there. And we'll see you guys next week. All right? Peace.
Later.